pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll now call the May 2020 village board meeting to
I wasn't
order.
joking, it is hard to hear.
I hate it.
Roll call shows everyone is present. Peter is on the phone. Number 3, agenda changes. 4, consent agenda. A, April 16th, 2020 regular board meeting minutes. B, presentation of accounts and other claims against the village as presented in your packet. Are there any questions?
I have one question about the invoice listing, and I was gonna come in and talk to you guys today, but forgot. I signed a voucher in that stack that was for $100, but it's not on the list here. Do we need that? Do we need to mention
Nope,
that?
will be on the next one.
Okay,
Mike Summers needed $100 for his park and rec
okay.
tomorrow.
I just wanted to make sure if we needed to add it.
Yes.
That, okay, all right,
That he said will be on the next one.
okay. Then if,
Thank you.
yeah. If not, I can make a motion to, for a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll second that. Dan, roll call.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Peter.
Motion carried.
Did you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
very
Oh, yeah.
clear, very clear.
Okay.
Pre-registered citizens to be heard? There are none. 6, committee reports. A, library board.
Okay, and this will kind of do Ally's report also, because she's not here tonight. We met on Tuesday. They are doing curbside pickup since April 24th. It's going very well. Initially, there was a big surge, a lot of people calling in or sending in the online form. Now it's pretty steady. It's tapered off some, but now it's pretty steady. Only our materials from our library can be checked out. So that's caused, some people to wait, but they're doing the best they can. A number of new books and materials are also coming in that were held up for a while. So the staff is stocking that. Ally's been attending weekly director meetings via Skype, that's old. Zoom, thank you. And it's nice to coordinate with all the other libraries. That's been helpful to her. They're staffing 2 people per shift in addition to Ally. And they're doing social distancing, cleaning everything. When materials come in, they have to sit for 48 hours before they're shelved or given out again. So they're following all of those. On Tuesday, we also had elections for officers for this coming year. Jenna Foth is president again, Veronica Woodward is vice president again, and I'm secretary again. So, that's it.
Any questions for Pat?
No, just a comment, the curbside pickup was amazing. It was,
Good.
and the process was just,
Yep,
I thought it was slick, and I was so glad to see that we were able to do that.
we'll pass that on. I did it too. It was, what they do is they fill the order, bring it in, set it on a table out there with your initials on it, and you have a set time. So nobody comes at the same time. Pick up the bag. They're asking all materials to be put in the drop box so they're not cross-contaminating or anything. So I think they've got a good system down.
They do.
Number 7, unfinished business from previous meetings. There's none. 8, new business. A, O-4-20, amend 7.0510, parking, stopping, and standing regulated. Carl, are you taking this?
Yeah, I'll start this out. 04-20 is to amend ordinance 705. It's actually to add subsection 10, which would regulate the parking of semi-trailers in residential neighborhoods, semi-trucks. Been having a lot of issues, especially where I live, with semis parking on the road and running for hours on end. The wife's trying to work from home, and the guy fires up the semi and lets it run for 3 hours. And the diesel fumes are getting in the homes. And he's wrecking the roads. They shouldn't be in residential neighborhoods. It's not a truck stop. I don't want to live at a lot of truck stop in my neighborhood. So, we had some issues with designating heavy truck routes and non-truck routes, so I think me and Chris got on the same page now, where I'm gonna put Class B signs on our truck routes. Just an FYI, some of our truck routes that you may not think are truck routes are Bath Street from Peter's business back towards the old canning factory. Mill Street from Bath Street back to the feed mill. That's a truck route. Around the high school here on Nash and Warner Street is a truck route. So if we identify truck routes, then I think that gives Chris the authority when they're not on truck routes. So, again, Bob looked at it, Chris looked at it, and we think it's probably the best solution. There was a second part in here that didn't get added to it, it was parking on front lawns, but that's something we'll look at later, so maybe.
So if it is
Anyways,
on a
just-
truck route, then it's okay for them to park on the street?
No, that's a whole different matter of parking, overnight parking is a whole different ordinance.
Cause like even tonight coming up Nash Street, there was a wall-to-wall way truck. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that was to me more of a hazard because I couldn't see around it and it's kind of at a wonky curve there.
Yeah, that's a county highway,
Mhm.
so it's automatically a truck route,
Okay.
or it's automatically a Class B highway. So,
No.
there's not a lot to say we can do about that. I know the parking lane belongs to the village, but,
If it impedes vision bad enough, I mean,
well, they were parked pretty, I didn't see anything too wrong with it, I know Chris,
He didn't come from that way, so.
he was parked next to the curb, but just the area kind of obscures that corner,
it
but
does.
I think he was legal.
Okay.
He's legal there, and, that's not a Class B route.
It's just a
It's county highway.
county highway, yeah.
And, where county truck double M is Class B,
Okay.
and then you can only do a fully loaded truck to an address, drop it off at that address on that roadway, okay? But if somebody could still haul it, go across there halfway.
So what's an official truck route? Do you call them Class B or I just, the state statutes really only reference Class A and Class B.
Yeah, so I don't think labeling those other roads Class B is gonna keep your trucks off of them.
Well, I think, we want trucks on the truck route, so do we just label them truck routes then?
Yeah, well, you're gonna have to have, you're looking for some kind of stipulation to keep trucks off the rest of the area.
Yeah, if we don't identify our truck routes, we can't really enforce their non-truck
Yeah.
routes. So we can put, what do you think, Chris? I mean, we could still put truck route signs up, we do have them, but,
Just so people know where the truck route is, because like he said, Dewey to Mill to Bath. Somebody might not know that that's a truck route to get to the feed mill. However, if they're driving down just to take a shortcut through, let's use back in your subdivision, we constantly get phone calls because people are traveling back in that area there. That way then if we have somebody that's parked there overnight with a dump truck, at least then with this ordinance, we can cite them. We have no truck route signs in certain places in the village, like Oak and Nash in front of the school, because we get a lot of them that are coming from the north. Instead of going down Nash, they try to cut down Oak
Sure.
Street. We got one guy that's got the semi that he's got a trucking business, and that's why he's parking on Mill Street. But then we also have another trucker that's on Wayne, and he likes to park on Wayne. So with this ordinance here, or maybe, because our ordinance actually says that they can park they can park up to 72 hours. So other municipalities have a 3-hour limit. And that way then they're not parking overnight,
Or over the weekend.
over the weekend.
I think we want to keep them out of the residential neighborhood, and we also want to address the 72-hour, which is another ordinance, right?
Yeah,
Which we'll be addressing when we update the codification. So for now, we'll just instead of putting Class B signs up, we'll put truck route signs up where our truck routes are.
And, I think you're gonna have to handle it some other way to keep those people from parking and leaving my lane. That'd be kind of a different.
And that, yeah, and I think that the ordinance eliminating the 72 hours and changing it to 3 hours, like most other jurisdictions have, that would be.
That would probably take care of the situation and get them parking somewhere else.
Right.
I think one of the issues Chris is facing is our ordinances should have been updated a long time ago, and they're in pretty rough shape, so her hands were tied for most stuff, so. All right, so, yeah, that's separate. The signage is separate from this issue. So I'm just looking that we recommend a motion to amend 04-20, parking, stopping, and standing regulated, as written.
I'm confused how the 72 hour and the 3 hour.
That's a whole different subject.
Okay.
We probably shouldn't have brought that up.
Okay.
This is just truck parking and truck routes, trucks taking residential neighborhoods.
So, with the way that this is written, what's to stop the people from just parking at the closest truck route? So the guy who's in your neighborhood just
But at least
park
it's a
over
truck
there.
route. It's not my neighborhood with diesel still coming in my house.
Yeah, I get that.
That's a whole different issue. That's something
Yeah.
Chris is gonna tackle with the codification.
With the 72 and
Yeah.
limiting it to 3 hours.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
Yeah, we got ahead of ourselves there.
okay.
We need to address the trucks being in residential neighborhoods
First.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right, I got it.
So as this is written, that we don't
Yeah,
need to.
yeah,
okay.
but Sorensen and Chris both approve, yeah.
Then I'll make a motion to approve O-4-20 ordinance amending chapter 7.05 parking, stopping, and standing regulated.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. B.
Peter didn't chime in.
Peter?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Sorry, Peter.
It's hard to miss that.
B is 2020 crack filling road maintenance contract award.
I'll start out with that one as well. I requested some proposals from 3 separate companies. I only got 2 proposals back. These are 2 of the big players in crack filling in the valley, so we ended up getting some different price ranges for this project. Again, the projects were broken down into 4 areas. You can see that in the packet. I think after looking at the pricing and discussing with Dan, Public Works Chair, our plan for the next couple of years on road treatments and maintenance, I think, Dan, we're looking at approving areas 1 and 2. We're gonna do area 4 and 3 in-house. Plus we have also got some road patching, maintenance, manhole repairs and stuff that we're reserving some of that money we put into road treatment money for this year. So I guess we're looking at Valley Silk Coat, areas 1 and 2 only, in the amount of what, $19,960?
Yes.
Dan, you got anything to say to them about why we're only doing 2 parts versus?
Areas, there's $50,000 in maintenance budget that we approved last year. This kind of gives us a jump on that crack filling on the newer pavements. Crack filling on newer pavements prolongs the life of the road the longest, so you're getting the best bang for the buck there. Areas 1 and 2 have not been crack filled, so they obviously need it, as a number of roads do in the village. Areas 4 and especially number 3, those have been crack filled already, and we're hoping with areas 3 and 4 we can do that touch-up crack filling with our own forces. And some of the areas like Wildwood is going to actually need the mastic machine there too. So yeah, I'd like to do that in-house and just do areas 1 and 2 with the contractor.
I think when Dan says in-house, we work side by side with the county. using the county's mastic machine or their patching machine. And then we'll go out and we'll do some of those projects ourselves, so we save some money that way, but we don't have enough personnel to do an entire neighborhood, so we're just gonna approve areas 1 and 2 and do some other in-house projects with the remainder of the money.
Just gonna shut anything down, or is it just drive around?
No, it would be regular, just road signs, no road closed. We'll probably do some minimal signing on it, and road's gonna be open to local traffic.
Okay.
But if we do full-fledged signing on every street there, that's gonna eat up a lot of money just doing the signing. So we'll do the entrances to the subdivisions and do the signing there, and that'll cover the work in throughout the subdivision.
Okay.
So again, we're looking for a motion to award the crack filling project to Valley Silco for areas 1 and 2 only.
And I'll make that motion that we approve the areas 1 and 2 for crack filling with Valley Seal Coat, a dollar amount of $19,960.
Second.
Roll call, Dan?
Aye.
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 Peter?
Aye.
Motion carried. C, Ordinance Review Committee designation.
So it's supposed to be kind of two things. One of them is the committee designations, which is the, I guess,
The committee appointments, I left everything the same as it was.
we just need to vote on that.
And if we could have a motion,
Did you hear that, Peter? All committees were left the same from the last term.
What?
All committees were left the same, Jeannie said, from the last term, so we're gonna have a motion to approve that.
You know, I'm getting a lot of reverberations.
I might have to turn them down.
Repeat that.
All committees from the last term were left the same, so all committee members are the same committees.
Okay. I agree.
Motion to approve the committee.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion, Peter?
He approves.
He approved?
Yep.
Motion carried.
The other part of this was the ordinance review type stuff. I don't know what Jean wanted to do with that.
Well, there's changes going on with the ordinance book, and we have a list that Nathan handed out of some of the changes. And we thought if we could possibly go to a committee of the whole so that we could agree on what to change here on these sheets to update our ordinance book. If you know, if we could set a committee of the whole before a board meeting, it doesn't look like it would be real detailed, because some things only have one word, right, Nathan? That needs
There's a
changing.
lot of the other ones, the ones that I gave you were some of the bigger changes, but yeah, there's a lot of like single words, like striking written, so that we can accept electronic, certain things like that, which you guys can still be privy to if you want me to print out a master list of everything, but.
Or can you send it as a PDF so we can review it ahead of time to shorten up the meeting?
Right,
Yeah.
so this is just kind of the first outline of some of the major stuff. I was going to, once we have our meeting dates, start sending out if there's anything else into it. I know the PD might have some other changes, I don't know, so.
Essentially, what he's looking for is, if you don't want to be a part of the committee, speak now or forever hold your peace.
We would need to meet next week, hopefully.
Or if you want to be a part of the committee, we could push it to a committee of the whole. A lot of this is very,
Tedious?
it's tedious, in my opinion, it would not require a full board. It's gonna have to be approved by the full board once the changes are made. But if anybody wants their 2 cents worth in looking at these, they should really want to be on this committee, put it that way.
It's the best time to ask, other than working from home.
Correct.
I have nothing else on my schedule, so. Literally, sit in my dining
Yeah.
room, or I come here, so.
So it's at the discretion of how you wanna set it up. If there's anybody that doesn't want to be involved, we gotta let you know, because we gotta, like Nathan said, we really wanna get this set for next week and have this meeting set up.
Well, I'll be a joiner, I'm in, so
I will
just
be
schedule
also.
a meeting,
I'll assist.
just schedule it.
Is everyone willing?
Is there a time?
Peter, are you interested, or are you gonna defer?
During the day.
I am.
Okay,
Okay, so when do you wanna meet?
Did you hear me?
yep,
Yep,
Well,
Okay.
we could still do this by,
You know,
phone call.
can I just interject something here?
yes, sir.
This process is not working well, so I'm just gonna move forward and attend the meetings. So until we put something else in place that's effective, I'll just show up.
Okay. I think what we could do is put you across the room from everybody else and really keep you by like the dumpster.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. You know, and I wear masks usually when I go out, and social distancing, so. Yeah, I'll just attend, and if I have to, I'll sit in the gallery.
Okay.
Do we still have those partitions for voting?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we
we do.
use those also.
They're right
Also,
next
we
room.
could wear masks too, for Peter.
Yeah,
If not for yourself, wear it for Peter.
Okay. So I think we're gonna schedule a committee of the whole then, correct?
yes.
Is there a day that works best?
Is there a day that works best for everybody next week? Because we don't have a meeting scheduled for next week.
What's good for everyone?
Again, dining
1
room or board meetings.
Can everybody meet during the day? That's another question, rather than doing a night meeting.
I'd rather not.
That's tough for me.
What time is good for you, Jim?
Don't see pool league either.
What's that?
Don't say pool league either.
No, there's no, there's, you can go to bars. I mean, at 4 o'clock's probably the earliest that I can sneak in here.
And 5's the earliest I can. I'm on the phone till 5.
Can we do a 5?
Sean.
Is everyone good with 5?
I have so
When?
much vacation to burn, it doesn't even matter, so,
5 o'clock, pick a day.
Tuesday?
sure.
Tuesday, 5 PM, Peter, for a committee of the whole.
Okay, next Tuesday, 5 p.m., just send an email.
Okay, yeah, you'll see the notice.
Okay, excellent, yep. I'll be there.
Okay, then we'll move on to D, 2020 Park and Rec Program Update.
I'll take that. We met last week with Mike Summers. He had some, he wanted to make sure everything was still moving forward with Park and Rec. It was our decision that we'd rather be prepared for a June 22nd rollout rather than not be prepared, so we're moving forward as we had planned. Registration is set for Friday, June 12th. Possible start June 22nd, and it will run through August 3rd. $150 for a local resident, $225 for a non-resident of Hortonville. The biggest change this year is because of the lack of busing. There'll be no field trips planned for the Park and Rec program. The booklets are on order. I spoke to Mike yesterday. He will do his diligence to distribute to local businesses and or communities wherever it is open, and also make them available to our Facebook page and web page. They're gonna do our best to get registered and people out, notice out in advance. This is also Mike's 30th and last year, so we discussed about, on his, what's his day called, Jane? What's his last day?
Yeah, carnival.
They do a carnival, so we're gonna have to put something together for Mike as a memento for 30 years of service. That's phenomenal. So we will work on that. We already started a program. Nathan developed it on Facebook. People are putting their memories of Mike out, and then he's getting some submissions as well. So we're gonna have a book put together for him of people's comments. I think that's an idea that came out of that. I think that's about it.
Somebody from the commercial club asked if we could mention that they.
Yes, we also took a call and.
Carl?
Oh, I'll get them in that.
I do have one suggestion.
Yes.
So my kids are doing the lunches every day at school because it gets them out of the house and it helps with the grocery bill. But the other thing is, today we got a bag from Shields that they could do a craft for Mother's Day, is what it was. Mike could distribute with the lunch program at school, I'm certain
Okay.
of it. I'm certain he can.
Oh.
Okay, so I'll make a note of that, okay.
And he's a teacher. Yeah, I mean, somebody who and it was just a way that all of a sudden my kids came home with a bag from Shields, and they quick hit it. It was like the joke, but I thought it was kind of cool that they were still able to do something. But that would be a great way, because I know that they used to distribute in the schools, and this year that's just not the case.
Well, I think Todd was gonna put out a message to all.
Good.
They had their,
All,
That's,
Skylar.
Skylar,
Yeah, Skylar,
That's-
and that would be great, but it, if there's some people who, in this day and age, yes, we have limited, internet access for some kids, and, that would just be a way to get the rec program's cool.
Plus those are the people participating in lunch pickup, probably.
Actually, there's a line, it's insane, the amount of people, actually, it's great, how many people are, yeah.
Can I just add what we talked about too? At the meeting, we discussed some type of fee waiver assistance program for summer rec. I had asked about that, and obviously it was too late to get anything within the budget this year, but what Mike is gonna do is he's going to put something in the program, and has he sent the
Yes.
program in?
Yep.
And something to the effect of, if you would like to help sponsor a child or a participant, that to let the village or him know. So we're gonna start it that way. And so if people wanted to assist with that, that would be an option. So that was part of our discussion too.
Okay.
nothing needed as a vote, just an update, so I wanted to discuss.
Thank you, because people are asking.
Yeah, it's unfortunate they can't do the field trips, but, Mike is gonna try to do some local options later in the season if it allows, with things in the village, if it's a golf day or something better that they could do. So he's gonna continually look to upgrade it.
Okay.
We'll now move to E, ADRC meal site relocation, discussion, approval, July 6th, 2020.
So essentially, with changes happening at the Opera House, more along the lines of the African Alliance Church taking a extended lease starting in July of this year, I've been asked numerous times by multiple people to potentially consider having the ADR meal site relocate to this room in the Village Hall starting after the holiday. A couple notes that I have: they're looking to permanently move out of the Opera House to grow their numbers. The July church lease would help. We would help by minimizing the issues that would conflict with the church and the ADRC. The ADRC has also agreed to supply a new steam table for the operations, and that would have to be housed here. That's a $2,400 investment. They did the same thing at Kakana last year. I have talked to Allie in the library and also spoke with Jane, because this will affect 2 days of the elections remaining this year. We do have options to split the space, and we feel that we could control all of the environment here with all of the other programming as well, including stepping on, strong bones, tai chi. Couple comments that came in. This is from Bonnie with ADRC. Her notes are: historically, the nutrition program has always desired to be housed in a municipal building of the Opera House versus the Opera House. Central visibility, community-wide traffic, and the village's library and public offices. Less of an ADA liability of the municipal building, ample parking, nearby senior resident home apartment dwellings, school system and other community connections, including the Hortonville senior gatherings at the municipal building, would be extremely advantageous to the nutrition program meal site participation and operation in Hortonville. The municipal building setting is more of an inviting draw for the village volunteers to assist with meal service operation, which is an essential to the manpower resource. I personally view the municipal building as a mecca for the village of Hortonville and area residents versus the Opera House. The program would require a 10 to 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 to 1 timeline on Monday through Friday basis to provide both home delivered and congregate meal service. We would need storage for home delivered meal service supplies, which is available, including a steam table, which we would provide. Another comment she said later on in her email was, however, with the elections, we could arrange congregate meal service with advance notice, they could defer that. They would not have the eat-in for the days of the elections. Home delivery meal service would continue, and like I told Jane, is a lot of times that's out of here by 10 a.m. So we could take care of it right in the kitchen. Lisa Springstrow, the manager, also said, this is referring to yesterday with the grab-and-go baskets. What a beautiful day we had yesterday. The grab-and-go was a success. The feedback we have been getting is very positive. Moving to the municipal building is more centrally located. Family members helping a neighbor walk over with 3 of his daughters, socially distanced of course, stated what an awesome thing we are doing. We had elderly, 60 young people bike into the parking lot checking out what was happening. They also stated this is a wonderful thing. Experiencing this yesterday, I feel like this would be a positive move for the Hortonville community. Essentially, not knowing what to expect with the Opera House rentals, I think this makes sense that we utilize this building to its full extent and allow the ADRC program to grow in this facility. And it's for your discussion.
I do have to say that years ago, when we were potentially moving the meal site here from Greenville, the ADRC did not want it in this building because of the elections, because they didn't want to miss a day. So that their opinion on that has changed. So I think this would be a better place. My concern is that we be sure we get everybody at the table about the schedule, David. You know, we've got the ADRC classes have been bounced back and forth quite a bit. And so I would like them in on the discussion about, you know, how much room the meal site needs, if the class is still filling up, and then library program story hour is on Fridays. So if we could all communicate about that, just to be sure there's no bad feelings.
And I've done that already.
Yeah. But I mean, if everybody could sit down just to, not necessarily together, but we be sure we get all their input. Because I know the exercise teachers are volunteers and they give a lot of time. We want to be respectful of that. So that's my input.
Sounds just like scheduling.
Anyone else have any comments?
It
It is scheduling, and I think it's also, you know, they have their food requirements, I'm sure. You know, they can't have people within a certain amount of space to their food prep area.
In canteen or their food delivery drops it off at a certain time in the morning and it's heated and they have to
Yeah.
keep it in that steamer and I volunteered for this when they were still in Greenville and it was very, yes, it's during these times, but it actually is also an earlier morning because of the
Right.
drop off.
Right.
Yeah.
So just so we make sure we get the exercise classes their space, and then communicate with Ally about story hour and that kind of thing, so.
Or is this something that could go in the other building that we're talking about doing
And it would
basically the community center?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so,
This is in the meantime.
But
yeah,
that's
we're talking
going
about
on
a temporary.
Temporary.
Okay.
My feeling is if this facility, or if this program is not relocated out of the Opera House, it's gonna be dead.
Okay.
It'll be dead. Because right now, with the congregate meal site, they're averaging less than one person eating in-house. And the only way that their numbers are increasing is when we're forcing groups to take advantage of their program.
Okay.
So,
Well, in Greenville though, they had like one gentleman that came.
Yeah, it was
And that was at the
Exactly.
fire,
It was
or the
low
old,
there, too.
well, the fire station.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was low there too, but yeah.
it would probably die out if we don't make a move here.
But either way, we're just talking about a temporary
Temporary, yeah,
until the other
Correct.
building is.
if it's
constructed.
passed, yes.
Yeah,
If
we build it.
we end up building it.
Yeah, if we
Okay.
do.
Could we move them into our break room for election days? Because there's no way we could allow people in behind other voters when they're voting.
That was also discussed,
Okay.
because essentially on election days, they will not do a dine-in offering on that day. And they are fine with that, according to Bonnie. They just
But
have to
they
give
still want-
advance notice,
Right.
but the steam table is a 110 plug-in. It's essentially they're,
Right, but they're in that room,
Yep.
which they can't be because there's voters.
So
right
election day,
there.
they could go in the break room is what you're
Correct.
saying, just for
Right,
the deliveries.
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't know why we couldn't have them move there for that day.
we'll accommodate.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, cause that's, you need to follow the election
Right.
guidelines, but the warming table is not that big. I mean, you've probably seen it, it's.
And we barely use our break room, so. accept very much.
This
And I-
about Monday and Wednesday also, because we set up on Monday for the election and then this room was locked down.
Right.
Yeah, and I
We'll
think
accommodate.
it's a presidential election year. It's gonna be a, yeah.
August and November, right?
Mhm.
It'd probably be good for them to eyeball that room, just to, ahead of time.
Mhm, I agree. Good point, Nathan.
Are we looking for a motion?
I would like to
on
approve
this?
it tonight without further discussion. So they can plan ahead too. I know she's got to give notice to the ADRC every time they move the meal site.
I guess I'd like to, I mean, we can go ahead and approve it, but I guess I'd also like to leave that door open too, that if we find that it isn't working here, that we do have that other facility they can use at the Opera House. I mean, yes, we can do it, but, you know, with the caveat that if it's not working and it's interfering with village business, that we could move, we could say we move it back.
Do we have a motion?
Just thinking how to make that motion. I guess I can make a motion to approve relocating the ADRC meal site to the municipal center pending any issues with village business. And I guess that's how I'll word that.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Peter?
I didn't hear the complete motion.
The motion was to relocate the ADRC meal site pending any
Wait,
issue.
wait. Who's talking?
This is Julie.
Oh, Julie?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of reverberation, so I can't hear it.
Can we try and maybe take off the speaker? I love the speaker,
Yeah.
but I just wonder if that's actually,
It's shooting back.
it's
It's very-
echoing back. We're gonna try something different with audio here, Peter.
Is that better, Peter? Uh-oh.
Yours.
Hang up on 'em.
Are you there? Are you there, Peter? Okay.
Is he on speaker?
Are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Now
we
we
can hear you
can.
clear.
All right. So your phone is sitting by you, or is it in the middle of the room?
It's by me, because we had a speaker, an external speaker.
Yeah, that's fine, and Dan, you can hear me. But as soon as Julie starts talking, or somebody on the other side of the room, and you happen to rustle some papers, it completely cuts them out.
Let's put a chair in the middle.
Try it again now, Julie.
Peter, can you hear me okay now?
Yeah,
Can you hear that better from Julie?
yeah.
Okay,
It
well
was,
then,
we had a speaker that wasn't working properly, so.
I think the speaker was feeding into the other speaker and it was creating a little bit of an echo. So Peter, the motion was for ADRC to relocate the location here to the municipal center pending any kind of municipal conflicts or conflicts with the day-to-day business of the village. I'd like the opportunity, I guess, in my motion to help better explain, I don't know if you heard me, I'd like the opportunity that if this doesn't work out, that we could move it back to the Opera House.
Aye.
Okay. Is that a second? Okay,
better.
all right, there you go.
It's actually-
Motion carried. Good humor. F, CDBG RLF closure, refund, discussion, approval.
Okay, for the second consecutive year, we've been asked to produce a report to the state outlining the CDBG loan participation and financials that is currently administered by the Village of Hortonville. So Jane has prepared this the last 2 years, this time of year. In fact, it was just produced last week. Essentially, in your packet, there is a copy of the financials that details the village is now revolving approximately $136,000 of money that has not been, basically has been touched in better part of 8 years. It is a very vital program. The problem with the program is the administration of it. When it came out 25 years ago, it was a great program. The money was easily to get your hands on, and the $8,000 that they offered would do a lot of good for a home in need of windows, sidings, and doors. Unfortunately, they have not advanced the program, and the administration to the program is very tedious, and many municipalities are refunding the monies back to the state, because this is almost a full-time job as an administrator. Many of the municipalities, and what they require to hand these fees out now, is very tedious. So getting on the phone with the state, they have a refund program in process right now that allows you to take this money, give it back to the state, and know that your municipality does have the option for residential housing rehabilitation. It's just at a county, regional level. Outagamie County doesn't even have it themselves. They defer it to Brown County. So if there is a resident that would call looking for funds, there is an option. We would automatically give them this, essentially this cut sheet that's in your packet. This is what we would give to them for all the contact information to go directly to Everett and Todd with Housing and Planning of the Brown County Planning Commission. That money then would be distributed to them via the village and given to them. So we have options for residents. It just doesn't make sense for the village to continue to maintain this fund. We don't make a penny in interest, and it's just another report we have to file every year. So we'd like to refund it and do away with the residential rehab process to the village. We would still have the resources available, like I said. We would take it out of our hands and give it back to the county. So, any discussion in the matter?
So this amount would go back to the state?
Correct.
136.
Correct. And then every time a repayment is made, because anybody who has a lien, there's a lien on their note, that would also get funded back to the county organization. So we are gonna have to do some paperwork and forward off all of our records to that organization. So we wanna take it out of our hands. Because we're administering it, we don't get compensated for administration of the program, and we don't make any money from the program. There's no proceeds. It's a do-gooder for the villagers, but.
Yeah, so the $136,000, if that goes back to the state, is that earmarked for Hortonville? I guess my fear is that it goes back to the state, and let's say somebody in our community does need it, and it's not there anymore because we gave it to the state and they gave it to someone else because they had other requests. And I get that you lost your SOL, you didn't apply quick enough. But is it earmarked?
That's not how the program operates. The program operates based on your need and your financial qualifications. So I've never heard of anybody being rejected for this program based on dollars and figures. From what I understand, there's more money in these accounts than that they dispense.
I think a lot of people
Don't
don't
even
know about it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Or don't qualify,
Because I
because
think-
it's pretty stringent on the income
And
level.
if you look at, they are included in the packet, the qualifications are, you need to be at the $20,000 a year category to do something
Yeah.
substantial for a home nowadays. So not a lot of people qualify in the village.
So it's
So no.
80% though.
Yeah.
Well, you have to be a homeowner and inside of this.
Or
Correct.
land or
So the current loans will be given over to Brown County if
Correct.
we decide
To
tonight?
manage and.
We will have
And
to
they
do the
will
paperwork.
do
and
the
they'll-
maintenance?
Correct,
Okay,
correct. We do not get compensated for admin time at all. We do not make a penny on any of the loan proceeds,
right.
and and we never do. Even the interest that's accruing in the bank account, Jane has to record that, and that's also put on file,
Yeah.
so we don't make anything in.
So the only benefit right now is that we control how much money Hortonville gets.
Correct. Correct, but. I
But
mean,
we're
we
not
would have
using, we're
that-
not utilizing that anyway,
No.
It's
so.
not our money
No.
anyways.
No, it's not. So the other question is, all these folks that have liens, maybe this is more of a Bob Sorensen question, but all those folks that currently have liens on their property, and obviously they don't have to pay it back till they sell that property, does the lien say Hortonville, or does it specific? I guess I
It
could.
says Village of Hortonville.
Village of Hortonville, so that's what I'm thinking. So we could have 20 years down the road, somebody going through and selling their home, now then we are then required to send that to the state, correct?
They will reference the Village of Hortonville in the CDBG loan program that we will give back to the county to mandate and administer.
But then we need to take that money, because it's, I guess I just wanna understand how that works.
So we'll have a payable to the Brown County, outstanding payable, essentially, for any lien that's
to
outstanding.
the state. Yeah, I just wanna make sure,
To this
because there's,
program.
if we could have a list of folks that have liens, is that something maybe we could clean up right now, the wording on those liens?
I don't
That's a
think we would
private
need
thing.
to, it would
Yeah.
cost us more money, we can keep it the same. There's about 8 or so people that have it currently,
Okay,
keeping that list and those files, I mean, that list.
okay. I just think of like sometimes property is handed down to family and it's not
Yeah.
sold.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
If it goes,
Okay,
Changes
so
owner.
there's only, if it goes to a son or daughter, then yes, it can get transferred down for no payment, and it has to, there's some stipulations
Okay,
with,
I just wanna
how
make
many
sure
times it can only happen once.
this doesn't become a nightmare for you if all of a sudden somebody does sell
Not
property.
any more than it is.
Not any more
Not
than it
more
is,
than it
okay.
is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I just trying to cover that base that's out in the future, okay?
We, essentially, we need permission from the village board to go to the next step, to solicit for the closure paperwork that we would have to get from the state.
Which is a massive audit on the 20 years of funds, so,
Well, that sounds like fun,
yeah, but
Okay.
it's better to do it now than 30
Yeah.
years from now.
When you have more people.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
And then these people have no choice. They will be the administrators.
They're compensated. Unfortunately, we're not compensated, but
Right.
these programs are compensated.
Okay.
And they're they're state employees,
Right.
so,
Okay, so then if we give this to a resident
correct?
and they could contact this person.
Anybody that approaches myself or anybody in the village admin team, I have this at my CDBG loan file, and I will basically, it refreshes every year. I believe Everett is no longer with the county, but Todd is, and I spoke to Todd last week in the matter. So he said, yeah, absolutely, use this form, and it's got all the contact information on it,
Okay.
so.
Okay,
And there's some we could put in the village voice
Right.
all the time and keep that
Absolutely.
refreshed.
after we're not administering it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that
We
what
don't
you
wanna get new
said?
ones
I
yet.
saw the look on Nathan's face like, oh, great.
Good call.
Do you need a motion on this, or?
Yeah, we would just need the, approval of the closure of the village-run CDBG loan program. And then once we do the paperwork, I'm sure we'll have to do more approvals coming down the pipeline.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the process to close out the CDBG RLF program. Is that good enough? Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Repeated?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Is he opposed?
G, sale of property, 437 North Nash. Discussion, approval.
So we are looking, in your packet there is a map with a pink line on it. That is the property which is directly south on Nash Street of the cemetery. So the property owner, we gotta get her name here. Brittany Karpinski at 437 North Nash is looking to acquire additional property from the village. Approximately 20 feet to the north of her property line, which is currently cemetery property. The picture is in the packet. What I told her is it would be in the best interest of the village, after speaking with Bob Sorensen, that no permanent structures would be allowed, no fencing allowed, and only vegetative structures would be allowed in the property if it is deemed, if she did indeed acquire it. It pans itself out at 0.16 acres from what we had mapped via GIS, using the $10,000 per acre equivalent, which is a fairly good going rate for tillable. We had agreed on $2,000 purchase price and all costs associated with surveying and legal. And she'd be willing to pay all that to acquire this additional 20 feet to the north of her property line. Essentially, the property is a non-conforming property. Her property line actually cuts and clips the corner of her house. And her neighboring property line to the south cuts and clips her neighbor's property line house as well. So it's a mess, and it's not the only place in the village. There's multiple places like this. But essentially, their backyard is completely cut off from their front yard, and they're looking for a little bit of area where they can build a tree line and be able to entertain friends and family. and that would be for the sale price of the 2,000 plus services. Bob Sorensen would lead this. He would take care of all of the registration and certified survey map, and I've already been in consult with Carol Land Surveying. Just a matter of getting it into motion if the village board approves it.
So
Carl?
then all those stipulations would be written in?
They would be put on the deed, exactly what Bob said, absolutely. Because we don't want fences directly adjacent. What we need to know is, from their home to the closest plot of cemetery, there's 47 feet in between. So they'd be looking to acquire 20. It's essentially on an old road that used to run through there. It's kind of shelved. Carl staked out 20 feet. Carl and I walked the property. There's a pretty good water swale. We don't want them to invade on that water swale either. So they would be taking property that we really have no intentions of developing in the future.
Is that 20-foot line, is that right on the high point or not? Where that road, full
Probably
roadway
about the
is?
center of the road, give or take.
Yeah.
And that road's used at all anymore? It's not even used by grave
No.
digging, anything like that?
You have to go back 70 years to see it.
Yeah.
It was
it's
just a
closed
gravel.
off.
It's
lane.
closed off, but I think I've seen vehicles on there. I mean, as
Yeah.
crazy as that sounds, but.
On the grass part,
Mhm.
I never have.
I haven't either. Well, that doesn't matter, I guess. But I don't think we ever have any intentions on putting graves down on that old road bed. We're stopping at the bottom of before the swale. It's not to say we can't, but
No, I think it was during a funeral, actually. People were just looking for additional parking. So the thing is, the only concern I have is that if we jog that piece of property out, are the remaining landowners along that line going to absorb their 20 feet as well eventually without, I mean, it's 20 feet, I get that, but because it's gonna make an awkward property line across those backyards,
we talked about that, but we haven't reached out to those
okay?
people.
Before you have a surveyor, I'm just wondering if that's something that, if you offer it now rather than
We could talk to them.
And
thought.
is the remaining 27 feet that would be left after this designated for additional burial plots?
No, it's mostly just stormwater runoff. Again, it's at the very bottom. There's a swale ditch and then the roadbed. And we would never bury people on the bottom of that ditch.
Turn into
Maybe
New
you would.
Orleans, yeah.
I-
New
I
Orleans.
think
I just,
Something like
yeah.
with this area is, and probably why that roadway was back there, to any maintenance or anything had to be done back there. The village, I think, should keep a strip of land there so they can access
I think,
the backside of those graves.
yeah, if we keep about 20 feet there, that's all we really need.
Okay.
And you're right, it would be nice to get all three neighbors to buy it and have a nice clean.
Especially, I think of the cost of, I mean, I've hired Carol Land Surveying, it would probably not be much more, just,
I mean, most of the price is getting them out there.
Correct.
Anyway, so
I just didn't know if maybe that would be something
me and David could reach out to those.
The
three.
next neighbor's gonna be minimal.
very minimal, but
Looking
then I
at
think
it
of, what
here-
is it, the Theobald's, right?
Yeah,
Isn't it?
you're looking at a piece that's probably less than 2/10 of an acre. It's gonna be very minimal. And then the backdrops, essentially, we'd fall into a pattern here where we'd have to give some away while we're charging the next door neighbor for it.
I just know what happens sometimes is when one neighbor has this extra footage, everybody else kind of eventually encroaches into that.
You've seen that behind your house there, didn't you?
Correct.
Yeah. It's not a perfect world. We'll
Yeah.
try.
I just think it's worth, before jumping in, maybe putting your toe in the water and asking these folks if they'd be interested. It might
Should
help
we,
spread that cost.
so you saying we should delay this approval until we find out, or go ahead and approve this? And
Approve it, but I guess, could we try and contact the other folks? Because then it could just be another different board meeting, but before we get Carol out there, before we get actually Carol out there surveying,
There's one other property owner to the west that we'd like to take care of as well. The property line's kind of goofy. You know, she's sitting right over there. She actually could use a couple of feet as well, because the property line's,
if it's wonky, but that's the thing, I mean, maybe it's just to keep it cleaner. I just think of the planning part of it, and although, yeah.
No, I
20
agree.
feet,
It'd be nice if it was a straight shot.
Mhm.
We'll try. That's all we can do.
It would help spread the cost out.
How'd they ever get this approved?
Oh,
change.
there's a
Build this.
lot of lots out there
Oh.
that,
I mean, to build
You
across
go
the
back to
lot
the
line.
1800s when they did it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Or was the line drawn after the
they
building?
had crooked rulers.
No,
Well-
that's not what, I mean, the lot I don't, that's not what I'm questioning. I mean, the building permit, they built the building across the lot line.
the staking was very different.
Mm.
We found that in our, not necessarily our house, but the rental house we sold, Carol knows this. I
Well,
mean,
downtown was even worse.
I found
Yes.
that in our house.
The village spent a lot of money doing a plot of survey downtown just to clean up the south side. We need to do the north side. It's not as bad, but
It's a hot mess.
there's,
Look at
there's some
online.
pretty interesting stuff in this town.
Dewey Street, right?
That's in every town.
Mill Street.
Yeah,
Yeah,
downtown
Mill
is,
Street's messed up.
crazy, cause there's people, like
Mill
people that
Street's a
own
mess.
like inches of other buildings and,
Yeah.
yeah. Like we pay for on our taxes, I believe 150 feet, we only have 147, so we pay for an extra 3 feet. But that's just the way it is. Everything says 150 feet, but it's 147.
Well, Jim's right. That house was built in the 40s or 50s, so it's not.
It was the
It
Foley's.
should have been kosher back then, but I don't know why.
It probably was
Drawings,
just,
digital.
yeah, yeah.
That map is also taking at an angle from outer space, so the line's probably just outside their house, but still setbacks and all that good stuff. You know.
I'll just keep paying for my extra 3 feet. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, if you weren't, someone else is gonna, so.
Someone else on the line.
True.
We just thought it was funny that we're paying for 150, but we only have 147. So what you want is a motion. I'll make a motion for the sale of property at 437 North Nash. How do you want me to word that, Jane, that it makes the most sense? About the, I guess I don't know really how to, I'm at a loss on how to word that, because I'd like to just make sure we approve this, and you might approach us with the landowners, and they might say, no way. Then again, if they do, it would be nice to share that cost with Carol Ann Surveying.
You
I
can
would
just
just
approve
approve
it and then
Approve
if
it.
we get the other two on board, we can just
Have another one.
kind of go forward with it
Okay.
or into the next meeting.
Okay,
They can split the costs
Right.
associated.
what he said.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll second it.
Well, call me tomorrow if you're just like, oh, what the heck did you just?
Figure it out.
And we'll do roll.
Aye.
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 Peter?
Aye.
Motion carried. H, any other miscellaneous topics for future discussion?
Just that it came up in the last meeting, and we had a little discussion, I know Patton was in talking with Nathan and Jane today, potentially about a better review of the budgetary process, the financials of the village, forming a committee. I don't know if you want to take it a little further, what you, kind of like what Pat would, she had some ideas of what she'd like to see, a little bit more review of some of the financials to possibly help make better sense of what we all have in the budgetary.
Well, I'd been emailing back and forth with Jeannie too. I'm thinking maybe that might be a good, could that be included with the ordinance discussion? At our next,
That's a committee of the whole, you mean?
yeah,
Yes.
I'm sorry,
makes
the committee of
sense.
the whole, I see on here it has committees. Is that an appropriate
That's kind of what,
spot
There's
for the
a-
discussion? You think?
yeah.
I agree.
Is that,
Yeah,
okay?
absolutely.
Okay. Thanks for
And
bringing
and
that.
then, like I said, Nathan, Jane and I talked about it, at any time, if there's a question in the budget, because it does get confusing, you just need to ask. Because there's, I mean, we get confused on it too. We're looking and double looking at something multiple times to make sure it makes sense. So if there's anything that comes up, or if you don't, just ask the question, so we're here to help. So that's all I have.
Any other topics? If not, we'll move to 9, report of village officials, administrator.
I did not make hard copies, this was in your packet, I emailed it, not in your packet, I emailed it separately. Carl and I have been getting even closer lately. We have 2 injuries in public works. Chris Schultz is out with a broken hand, Rob Stiles is out with I'm gonna call it a separated shoulder. He has he had an MRI, so we don't know the extent of his injuries yet, but I've been doing a lot of work with Carl in the public works. And we're gonna be doing a lot more, because there's a lot of projects that need to be completed, so I'm gonna be helping out, doing some operating with them in the next couple weeks to carry us through until hopefully get some manpower back. Update for economic development, I'm sure all of you have seen what is going on next to Gilbert's. That is phase one of the cutting. Carl and I talked to them earlier this week. They are gonna be coming back for another round of cleaning and cutting. All of that wood will be processed either starting tomorrow or early next week, with the intent of making a log pile that will be processed for firewood, as well as a mulching pile that will, again, it'll be mulch. And I think it's gonna be in the best interest to make that all available to residents, because we're getting calls for wood and mulch now. People are looking, so as soon as we can get it processed, I think it would be a good idea to just make it available for them to come and grab. We also have Immel excavating on the hook. As soon as they are cleared, they're gonna start moving earth. The intent is to give a better lie of the land so the prospective buyers can take a look at it and make a commitment on the property. That is some of the best sand you're ever gonna find in the area. We've also targeted taking some of that material, using it on Otto Miller Park. We have a baseball field that's in need of fill. So we may end up tapping into our Otto Miller Reserve to help with trucking and excavating some of that material. And then Jeannie's also identified, and Carl and I are going to look at possibly using some of that fill in the cemetery. So we also have a cemetery reserve fund that could also be used to help truck and excavate some of that material into the cemetery. Community development, we did talk about and approve the relocation of the meal site here to the village hall. I do want to say that last week, 24 people utilized the grab-and-go bags. This week, there was 41. So it is a really, really, really nice program, and they got it, it's dialed in. It's a drive-through system, so nothing but good things there. I wanted to give an update on the financials for the Hortonville Area School District. Met with them last week. So what the village and the school has come to agreement with regarding the SROs. The full-time SRO contract will be paid in full by the school district, and they are retaining Brian for his services. At any time the village would need him, he can be pulled back. So as of right now, he's still full-time with the district, and they're paying his contract. The village has taken back the half-time SRO, and they will lose out on 11 weeks of the contract from the district. By retaining the officer for patrol services, it has minimized the part-time officer's input, but it will still equate to a $3,876.16 shortfall for the department. Chris and I had a conversation. That difference can be offset by a set-aside fund that she did not utilize to buy her new police squad truck, which we'll be taking a look at later on. The new CIP is what actually funded that truck, so we're okay on Chris's budget, so she should be fine. The Otto Miller baseball contract that Carl negotiated with the athletic department was set for $12,500. With them not playing ball this year, they have still agreed to pay $6,250 to help offset our upgrades in facility maintenance costs. So we're still going to receive half of that money. And then what we also negotiated last year with the crossing guards, what we did is we were 39 days short of a full district day or a full district calendar, so we did the math on it. We split it in half, multiplied it out. Essentially, the district agreed to pay $4,406.34 for crossing guard duties this year. That'd be a new revenue stream for the village that we had not seen. And that is it for the financials. If there's any questions on that. Otherwise, we did also give the Park and Rec update during the regular meeting, and a couple meetings I had with the multiple again for COVID-19, and then a lot with the school district. Any questions for me?
No questions? We will then move on to B, clerk treasurer, sorry.
Open book was held on Wednesday, May 6th, and the board of review will be held on Monday, May 18th from 9 to 11. And both Jeannie and I need to take the training again, and we'll do that in time for the meeting. An operator's license was issued to Renee LaFleur Linder. And you'd asked me about the August partisan primary. So on the ballot is going to be the congressional officers, state senators, representatives to the assembly, district attorneys, along with Outagamie County Clerk, Outagamie Register of Deeds, and Surveyor. And Nathan sent out all the dog license notices, and there were 91 letters that were mailed out notifying the owners that they needed to license their dogs.
I got a quick question, Jane. So like, I know we talked about how we're changing the process for like operator's license and that sort of thing. So it's just gonna be, we don't ever have to make an approval, it's just now just more of your report,
Right.
okay.
I go by the police department's recommendation.
So we don't have to do anything tonight on it, good, okay.
How many of the races are contested in the primary?
I don't know that.
Okay, that's okay.
Due date's not yet.
Right.
And then the dog license will get late fees, state mandated, so we can't do anything.
Any other questions? We'll move to C, Director of Public Works.
Just a couple of items. We had an actual Arbor Day ceremony, but it consisted of Public Works employees. Unfortunately, no public was allowed. Anyways, we planted 25 cannon firs, 25 arborvitaes, and 50 quaking aspens back here behind the municipal center in Horton Meadows. And we're also gonna have another 4 or 5 larger trees planted back there, white pines, to replace some of the pines we lost. And the boat launch is back in operation along with the kayak launch. And I think as David had mentioned earlier that Public Works is down a couple of men, 3 men right now. We lost 1 man to Wapaka. Jeff Summer went to work for Wapaka Water. And both Rob and Chris are busted up. So be patient with Public Works. So.
Yeah, and I fell in the lake yesterday, so laugh it up.
Who did? You did?
Do you itch?
We only wish we had a picture.
Not yet, video, not.
Nobody laughed.
Like, how wet did you get?
Up to my knee.
Oh,
Yeah.
was it cold?
Did Carl push you?
No, I was being trouble too, so I was protected.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
How many, Carl, how many yards were you thinking about taking off that lot?
That lot, I haven't measured it, but I'm guessing it's in the hundreds, maybe even the thousands. There's a lot of sand there.
So it'd be good.
It's very sandy.
Sugar sand.
It's gonna be perfect fill for wherever we pull it, so.
Again, this is to, the Hortonville Youth Sports, approval from the village board a number of years back to construct, some additional ball fields. And, they're on the soccer field, but unfortunately, the outfield is down on the edge of the soccer field, so it drops off about 2.5 feet. They just wanna bring it up some, so we can accommodate them, work with them on that, so.
Carl and I were on site, Dan. We spoke with Jeff Gilbert, so he's gonna be very cooperative with the village, with his property line to the east. The people that are proposing purchasing that property are actually very good friends to him and his wife. So they're gonna do everything in their power to accommodate the build out of the next building there. So, Carl and I, after looking and having the trees cleared, it'll be no offense to the Haywish family, and we should be able to get the desired width that they would require for the build out over there without having to retain. It's a lot of the village's property, once it's been staked, is now on the other side of the mound. So we'll be able to move, we figure in some areas we'll be able to capture about 50 feet of width. So it's, there's a lot of earth to move there.
Any other questions for Carl? We'll move to D, Police Chief.
I sent out the monthly activity. Anybody have any questions? I know that a lot of people have been asking, but that incident that happened up in Shawano is a Hortonville resident. That's all I can tell you at this time, because I don't think they've released his name yet. So, last time we had the one where we had the high-speed chase that happened in Kukwana, and they said he was a Hortonville resident, and he actually lived in Clintonville, so, but, just in case somebody would ask.
always somebody.
Everybody's looking at Jane. We've been, dealing a lot with.
Yeah, Peter.
Chris, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Did you just say he was from Clintonville?
No, he was the high-speed chase that Kokana had, a couple months ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the news misspoke and said that he was from Hortonville, but he actually was from Clintonville.
Yeah, that really puts us on the map, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I missed the story. What happened in Channel?
There was a 34-year-old female who was stabbed by a 31-year-old
Oh, okay, yeah.
Hortonville male.
Alright.
So,
Yeah, that's another issue.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay, no, not a problem. So we've been dealing with, a couple of the COVID things, the Safer at Home. So we're receiving, a lot of phone calls concerning that. One of them was, the, driver's ed. So I contacted, WEDC. WEDC is an organization that basically makes a determination of what is essential and what is not essential. They said that he is approved to continue his services due to the transportation part of it, but he can only have one other child in the car with him. And they both need to be wearing masks. So I relayed that information to him. The golf courses are, open. However, the clubhouse is not. They can deliver food out to the golf course, to the carts. So there's some different things there. They have to pay for things online. The farmer's market, Jeannie, I think I sent that one to you, and David and Nathan. So as I get those, I try to send them out so you have an idea of what's going on if somebody would ask a question. There was one that came out about how to clean the schools, and it's pretty much just kind of what we were doing, so I didn't send that one out. But a lot of schools in the area are dealing with graduation. My understanding is Hortonville's gonna have a virtual graduation. I know that I've had some residents already call. They're looking at if they have a residence in a neighborhood where there's a lot of children. The one person had asked if they could display it on the side of their house so that the whole neighborhood can pretty much watch. I explained to them that, you got the 6 feet rule, we can't have parties, unfortunately, but I mean, if that's something that you wanna do and you have the equipment to be able to, display that onto a house and 7, 8 different residents in the area can all watch it from at home in their yards, that would be acceptable.
And they're hoping to have an in-person in July. They told us all to keep it on the calendar as it's something, I believe it's like late July. They're anticipating, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
I keep hearing the July 25th number.
I don't have it on the calendar yet.
No,
I don't have a senior.
No, as far as when things are
Oh.
gonna start to change, so I don't know. I know that the Outagamie County Fair hasn't canceled yet. So I've been attending the weekly meetings. We were meeting 3 times a week, then we decreased it to 2 times a week, but we're meeting with a lot of the certain emergency management, the first responders, law enforcement, and fire, Department of Health, the coroner's office. So now we're down to 1 meeting per month, or 1 meeting per week. Next week, they are opening up a site. It has not been announced yet. However, Outagamie County is gonna see a spike in numbers due to they're gonna open up testing next week. I don't know where the site is gonna be, but it sounds like Monday and Tuesday they're gonna be doing like healthcare, potentially like people that are testing positive or have symptoms, I should say, at nursing homes and things like that. So they're gonna get them done, and then on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, it sounds like it's gonna be open to the public. So whether it's, if you have a symptom and you wanna go in and get tested, that would be the time to do that, and that would be next week. There's gonna be a press release, and that should probably be out sometime tomorrow.
You know, Chris, you sent this out on farmers markets, so they're saying they can be held.
Yep.
What about flea markets and rummage sales? Because I've been asked.
Garage sales are not allowed.
So what,
That's specifically, one of the items on the Safer at Home. Yard sales and garage sales are not,
okay. So that's something we just have to wait on until everything opens up.
right?
Okay.
I have, everybody has done, or they should be doing, I applied for the FEMA public assistance. Whether we use it, we need to get applied for it. There's a couple different things out there. There's also the CARE. What we can do is we can submit for any kind of supplies that we used. We can submit for meetings that we've attended. We can submit for computers that we purchased, for people to work off-site, things like that. We have a $3,200 minimum. It goes up, we are placed into a small category up to $131,000. If we go above $131,000, which I don't think that we will, but we qualify according with the fire department and EMS, what they've purchased, what we've purchased for the police department, what they've purchased. His hours, going to the different meetings, my hours going to every one of these meetings that I've been on 2 of them today. I had today off, but they're important, so.
So do we have to declare an emergency in the village to do that? No?
No different than the storm, where we gotta
Okay.
track it.
Yep,
Okay.
It's all
We're just-
tracking.
we're just tracking.
The unfortunate side of FEMA is, again, it's a lot of rat race. It started out a strong commitment from them for the storm from last year. It's been reduced twice, and we still have not seen funds almost a year later. So at what point do you say, is it worth our tracking when our expenses are minimal? So, other than manpower, you know, that's, so.
Now with the difference in contract with the half SRO, could that be part of the FEMA? Because that was a cost incurred that would not have happened?
Well, there's so many different grants out there, and that one might fall under the CARE grant.
Okay.
We can apply for both grants. However, FEMA is basically used as a last,
Just a thought. I mean, it's, you know, I mean, that's,
Right.
it's a few $1,000. It'd be something that,
Yep.
because it would not have happened unless we had this pandemic, so.
And there's some revenue, grants out there that are going around too. I haven't seen really anything for the smaller ones, but the bigger ones, the businesses are getting the grants right now, so,
Not a lot of municipal.
no,
No,
no.
We'll be
So-
lucky to get anything.
just be nice to recoup something out of that.
And I haven't looked into, I printed off an 11-page document on Wednesday, but with the CARE grant. FEMA is a 75%, so we get 75%, we chip in 25%. Whether the CARE is 100%, I don't know yet, so I haven't really looked at that paperwork. But just to let you know that, we've applied for the FEMA one.
Any other questions for Chris? If not, we'll move to E, Library Director. Pat, do you have anything to add?
Nope, I think I covered it in the library board.
F, Attorney.
Nothing from Bob.
G, the building permit report is in the packet.
I just want to say something. Carl and I are out today too, so kudos to Vance Construction. Four homes being constructed in the Brookwood area and 4 homes out in Jim Flagg subdivision. So right now they have 8 homes under construction in the village. So that's significant upgrade for this village. There's O'Brien Builders also has 2, and then there's Boardwalk Builders has 2. There are right now 12 homes being constructed in the village, so and it's very early in the game. So we're fortunate so far in 2020. So.
see a lot of dump trucks lately. Not just because of the 15 thing, but there's a lot of dump trucks going
A
through.
lot of
the village.
activity going on.
Mhm. Helps that my desk faces the dining room window and look at all day.
H, municipal court report. None. We'll move to 10, communication and miscellaneous business. A, Black Otter Lake District News.
We haven't had a meeting, had a Facebook post just indicating for the lake cleanup that it wasn't going to happen because we couldn't gather, but encouraged people to clean up around the village when they're walking or kayaking. We kind of left it at that. Alley Cat still would like to sponsor something at some point, but it's on hold.
Okay. B, Hortonville, Hortonia Fire District News.
I talked to Jack yesterday. They had, other than the one major fire that was on Highway 45/15, there was a waste management truck that was on fire. They had no April billable accidents. They did have to cancel their June dance and fundraiser that was scheduled, but they are keeping track with the July 24-25 softball tournament. So, and that was all we had from them.
Okay, then we will move to C, Gold Cross Ambulance Run Report and News.
It's in the packet.
And it's in the packet. Why are some of those addresses not local? I mean, they usually go under the Mill Street.
It's where they're
It's
ambulance
where
Where
they're
they
is
stage from.
Yeah.
Okay,
Did you ever tour their facility and see their software?
no.
You need to. Anybody who hasn't ever been through Gold Cross needs to go because they'll show you. So when you see an ambulance sitting somewhere, like at Quick Trip a Lot or Alonzo Park, it's because they have prediction software, and that means that they're getting a red spot, meaning that historical data has shown that there will be something in this area. It's kind of creepy, actually.
Yeah.
It's very creepy.
It's a crystal ball.
But
It's like a
but it's
crystal
the
ball.
coolest thing, they've got this,
Wow.
it's prediction software. So when I look at some of these addresses, and they're sitting like at Castle on 15,
Yeah.
it might have been because that was turning yellow or orange and almost red, and that would have indicated that historically something happens near there.
That time of day,
And
that time of year.
When I did this 4 years ago, it was 5 years of data, and they said it's just gonna keep piling. So the more years it piles, the better it gets. It's the coolest and creepiest thing all at once. Go, if you call, trying to remember what his name is, the head nurse there. Anyway, if you give them a call, they'll give you a tour. They'll show you all the rigs, but they'll also show you how, because of the consortium, they wanted to show us how they're spending our money. And that was pretty cool. Yeah, definitely give them a call.
Awesome. D is the Hortonville Civic Association. Peter?
Yeah, just an update. We've decided that we're probably going to refund all the ticket fees, for all those guys that purchased the tickets for the drawing, only because we're uncertain what's going to happen over the summer months. And we don't want to ramp up to try to sell, only to delay it again. So we're just going to refund all the ticket monies and, look forward to next spring. That's it. The only other thing I would say would be, I think Carl and Dave are strapped for labor right now, but we're prepared to move forward with some of the upgrades at Alonzo Park when time permits.
It's on my list, Peter.
What?
It's on my list.
Okay,
Dave,
that's it.
Thank you. E, Senior Activities Committee.
And we haven't met. What I've tried to do is email the people that we have on our email list with updates with the grab and go, making some phone calls, asking people to get the word out. And that's about it for now on that.
We will then move to 11, comments and suggestions from citizens present, and there are none. And D is adjournment.
Okay, this is my call. You guys ready?
Go for it.
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
We are now adjourned.
Good night, Peter.